experience, man. So Teresa has been wanting to see one of these ultra-violent, hardcore wrestling matches.
This is not for kids.
Oh, God. Well, there were kids there. Even a baby was
I'm
in
not
there.
surprised.
But I think they were the workers' kids, you know?
Right.
But so I read about a show in Charleston in the what's called the Dead Zone. You know what the Dead Zone is?
No.
Well, what they used it for the last couple of years was like one of these haunted houses around Halloween. But apparently for the last 8 months, they've been wrestling in there. So with that in mind, me, Teresa, and her dad went to see this show. It's in a really crummy part of Charleston in the Warehouse District on the east side of town. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, well,
it's sort of like, remember where Bowinkles is, or the ball field? It's packed past that, towards the interstate. But it's pretty crummy, dark, real bad. And the wrestling show itself was in this old, like abandoned factory or warehouse. And the funny thing about this building is that if you looked at the ceiling, it was real ornate. You know, you ever been in a place like that like at some point had been something nice?
Yeah, absolutely.
And but you walked into this place, man. I mean, it was just like Fight Club. It was a desolate. They had 2x4 railings built, and it was shoddy.
What was the seating like?
They had about, if they had 30, 40, if they had 50 seats total, it would be a miracle. I'd say far less. We got there just as a bunch of people got up and moved. So otherwise we would have had no seat. We ended up being front row. Of course, there's only 2 rows really. And I took some pictures of this. So it's hard to explain what it looked like. I mean, it was the diviest dive. It's the worst place I've ever seen wrestling, ever.
So even worse than Milton.
Oh God, yes. Milton was like a palace. They had no concessions. They had no heat.
Wow.
They had the bathroom. They only had one bathroom apparently. Cecil told me because he had to go to the girls' bathroom and use a bathroom.
So presumably these workers are at the bottom of the barrel then, right?
The funny thing is, it's the same. It's a lot of the same guys I've seen a million times.
Really?
Yeah. It was a lot of guys from Milton, some guys from the IWA shows that we go to in St. Albans, and some guys from the Madison shows were there. So it was just like the usual suspects. The guy that run the show is Smokey C, who was in the main event. He took on a guy named the Devil himself, TL something. I can't remember the guy's last name. The rest of the show was sort of pedestrian. They had fans bring your own weapons match. They had a 2 out of 3 falls table match. And they didn't have tables. They had doors, old doors that they would set on chairs to simulate tables.
Wow.
Don't get tossed through an old door. These things were tough to break. They were killing each other trying to break.
I can't believe they're even possible to break. I mean, a door is about the toughest thing there is.
They did it. All of these doors are hollow, believe it or not. But even the hollow one, this thing was brutal. But I mean, the show was nothing to write home about. A couple guys worked twice, but the main event was when everyone was there for. And so to facilitate the time it would take because the main event was a electrified barbed wire death match, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it takes time. What they do is they take the ropes off the ring, and then they string barbed wire where the ropes were.
Right.
You have to circle 3 times of barbed wire. Then they hook the barbed wire up to a car battery. So it's got a jolt allegedly. So to give them time to put this up, they had a band play. It was like a
Guar cover band.
No, it was a syntho. It was a band that it was only 4 people. It was a guitarist, drummer, singer, and a guy that was like a DJ, right? And these guys were they were something. The Hooligans was their name, or something Hooligans. I can't remember their full name. They weren't bad. I mean, I'll give the guys credit. There's no stage. There's just literally, you can walk up and just go like, whoosh, and smack them. They're right there. And they played their show. It was, I mean, if you're into that kind of music, that kind of really heavy, it was a unique sound with the syntho guy in there putting down beats. I kind of dug it. It got you in the mood to beat the crap out of somebody.
Sure.
So they played for about 15 minutes, while they strung the ring up. and they brought in the legendary West Virginia's own the Necro Butcher to oversee. Apparently, this is what they said, that an electrified barbed wire match had never been done in West Virginia, ever. So this is the first one. It was the most violent. This is how they built it. The most violent match in West Virginia history. And so he came in, and since I don't know if you're familiar with the Necro Butcher, but
not intimately.
Did you ever see the movie The Wrestler?
No, but I know of it.
Okay, well, there's a part in it where the wrestler guy, Mickey Rourke, wrestles this guy in a match that's like a death match, and the guy is this guy that wears blue jeans. He's got crazy hair, and he wrestles barefoot. That's the Necro Butcher, and they wrote the part for him. And so, I mean, this is an Academy Award-winning film. So the Necro Butcher is an Academy Award-winning film.
Sure.
Kind of neat.
Yeah.
And he's actually a pretty smart guy. But this Butcher has gotten older, and so he just looked like your grandpa. He had a pork pie hat, what they call it, like the guy from Breaking Bad wears, and he's just the nicest guy, and he was out there showing them how to hook up the barbed wire, and then they started the match, and he reffed the match, and then these two guys came out and just eviscerated each other they threw each other, I mean, as hard as you could through the barbed wire, and there was a board with barbed wire wrapped on it, just like big wads of barbed, just slamming each other down into that and hitting each other over the head with light bulbs, like fluorescent tubes. A lot of fluorescent tubes got broken. They gouged each other in the head with fluorescent tubes and rubbed each other's heads across the barbed wire. I mean, it wasn't the most violent match I've personally ever seen, but it was pretty violent.
Yeah.
And blood just spurting everywhere, blood covering all the rails, glass everywhere. It was quite an interesting bout. It was live theater to a extremely idiotic degree, and how they made any money off this show is I don't know why they did it. They weren't filming it either. I don't think I think there was a couple chicks taking pictures, but I don't think they even filmed it. So it was something. It was it was something. So I took a little bit of footage of it. I may splice it together. So if anyone wants to see what a barbed wire death match looks like, I'll probably put it on my YouTube channel at some point.
So what is I mean, if these guys, presumably, they can get paid just as much or possibly a lot more by doing a non-hardcore deathmatch show, why do you think that it's sort of a masochism thing where they actually enjoy inflicting pain on themselves? Because that's what they're doing. They know what they're signing up for with something like this.
Well, you got to understand the mentality of things. There's a small but loyal underground following for hardcore death matches, just like a death metal band might draw at a local dump, right? I don't know if you've ever been to a local like punk show or something and seen like, and there's always a group of people that will come to these things, right? And hardcore wrestling has that group of people. Now I don't like it myself. And you can only watch a guy hit another guy over the head with a chair so many times before you're just like, but
loses its impact.
I had not seen one for quite a while, and I saw stuff that, I mean, this was not the most violent thing I've seen. I was at the IWA King of the Death match in like '99 or something, and it was super duper violent. Necro Butcher won that, by the way. I was at that show, and those guys did some real idiotic stuff, but these guys for drawing nothing. I mean, and the thing is, the house was full,
right?
So they filled every chair. There was standing room only. They were real happy with the numbers, but I mean, it was a $10 ticket,
right?
For let's say on the off chance they had 100 people there, then you got to pay the facility, And
I mean, they're making nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I can only assume they just like it, like a club. If we had an Amiga meeting every 5 or 6 weeks, and we rented a place that we broke even or maybe even lost a couple bucks, that's sort of the equivalent, except these guys, their hobby is hardcore wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this isn't a match you're going to do every day. You're going to do one of these not often. Now, we'd seen the TL guy, we'd seen him wrestle Pondo in a hardcore match in Nitro, I believe, and he's the guy that got the dollar bill stapled to his forehead and stapled to his groin. So obviously he's a deathmatch specialist. And Smokey C does a lot of hardcore stuff too. So these guys this is what one of their, Smokey C ran the promotion. So this is one of his babies.
Do you think that the payout, the guys that are in the hardcore match, they get more than the normal guys?
what, $5? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it would be interesting.
I would be surprised if any of them got paid hardly anything.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, but every wrestler that was on the show pretty much stayed for the end. They were all in the crowd. You know, I think being popular amongst any little crowd has a certain flavor to it.
Well,
you know,
the show is proof of that.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I'd say that I don't know how to respond to that. But these guys, I mean, they're amongst their people, you know, and so they're elevated to a certain degree. So it was an interesting thing. It was an interesting social experiment, and the crowd, as grungy as the dump was, and as creepy as the crowd was, they were my people, a bunch of creepy, shaved-headed goofs.
Right.
But they were cool. They were, you know, there's one of the matches was bring your own weapons. But guys had all kinds of crazy weapons they brought in that, you know, and it was all, you know, that was kind of funny. So there was some decent, you know, people were cool. There was no fights. There was no, you know, everybody was super cool. It was an older audience, to be honest with you. So,
all right.
I don't know. But, yeah, it was interesting, Bo.
Duncan's here in the chat. He says, is our setup for Thanksgiving? It is for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was a couple days ago, but we're keeping the spirit of Thanksgiving rolling on for one more day. All of our stuff that I did have up on the kitchen table upstairs of Amigo Studios has now been brought downstairs. And this will be gone, and before you know it, in a couple more weeks, we'll have everything. It'll be Christmas in Amigo Studios.
Excuse me.
Duncan says, Aaron, are you feeling better, or are you struggling?
Oh, man. It's been a rough week for your boy, A. I've been sick most of the week. Just in time for the holidays, but I persevered. But I'm feeling a little better. You know, this weekend just been packed. You know how it is, though. You can't stop, especially when you're a dad. You just keep on trucking. So I've got to leave here and drive to Parkersburg and meet up with a buddy of mine after the show. So
now, why? Here's what I wonder: why are you always driving up to meet Pat? Why don't you call up Pat and say, "Listen, you need to come down here and meet Ed."
Well, he did drive from Houston.
Well, he can drive a little bit further. In fact, he passed Hurricane on his way to Parkersburg.
Well, he's here to deal with his deceased family's home. And so I do not mind.
Not a social visit, primarily.
No. And he came in for Thanksgiving, but there's also his deal with that. And so I have no problem with making the journey up to, it's not that far to drive up to Parkersburg. Not in my context. I mean, again, you're talking about somebody who drives 80 miles a day.
That's true.
So yeah. But hey, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I haven't seen him for a while. So, hey, it's all good, right? The beat's sitting around, right?
So how was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. We had a big spread. Mom had a record number. She drew more than the wrestling show probably. Had a great, and she probably lost a lot more money too. But she had a real great spread. You know, Mom is getting up there, but her and Dad. They got some of the stuff made and ordered, and they brought that in. Then they, supplemented that with some of their own stuff. And then some of my relatives and brought some food. Chad was there. We had Chad come over for Thanksgiving.
That's great.
And it was good. Luke was the only kid there this year, which is kind of weird, but he had a good. He got all the attention, but it was nice. How'd y'all do? I saw some of your pictures, and it looked real nice.
It was great. My immediate family. Well, no, that's not true. My mom and dad. The rest of my immediate family is parts unknown. But they went to visit my dad's dad, my grandpa, over in Kentucky in Louisville. But we decided to stay and visit my mom's mom, who just celebrated her 94th birthday.
Wow, 94, eh?
Yeah.
Good for her.
And, but she's still getting around. She's still sharp as a tack. And so we went over there and spent Thanksgiving with my uncle and my aunt. And I've got an Amiga-related story to share about this journey. But I'll wait for the real show to do that. And in fact, we may do a quick recap of Thanksgiving on the real show.
Okay, that sounds fine.
And but hey, Yushiri, thank you for hosting us on Twitch. Appreciate it. But yeah, Thanksgiving was good. I got a lot of streaming in this week.
I saw that you had put up quite a bit of stuff.
It'll be released sort of at a trickle. So as not to overwhelm our YouTube channel.
I'm anxious to get into some of that stuff you did. I guess I want to make sure you did some wacky stuff in there. I was very interested in what you had going. Plus, I saw you started going through Star Tropics.
Yeah.
That's a game I always hear about. I mean, it's
Me
not
too.
my bag, obviously, but I mean, I've heard about it a million times.
Yeah, I'd always heard about it, heard good things about it, and so I said, hey, why not? Why not try and play through this thing? And thanks to save states on the emulator, I could have never done it without it.
Oh yeah,
I'm too
I mean,
old.
that's a Japanese role playing game about the yin yang, right?
Well, it's an action role playing game, so it's like Zelda, except it's so much more unforgiving. You die and you're sent back. But I'm enjoying it, and there's always folks in the chat that come and Yurushi, is that right? I don't know. I got nothing. Duncan asks, with two big holidays so close together, do you get together with the same crowds or do you mix it up?
Well, all right. First of all, these holidays are too close together. Now, what can you do? It's just how they fell. But I mean, it's too much. It's too much. With Halloween being a big part of our house, I mean, it's just like, I mean, these last 3 months it's just like a triple punch. And then, but normally with Thanksgiving, I had Thanksgiving at my mom and dad's, and then we had Thanksgiving at Tree's mom and dad's. All right, we did that, and they had Tree's side of the family over there. It's a less formal affair at Tree's mom's house, but it was nice. I mean, so we actually got two meals, big old meals. But normally at Christmas, we get together with far less people. Thanksgiving's sort of the big deal. Christmas, my immediate family, Tree's immediate family. That's pretty much about it.
For me, the way I always think about it is Thanksgiving is something that you do. It is strictly a family affair. Now there is exceptions, like Wilcox was over at your place.
Right.
But, hey, I mean that's awesome. But it's not really something where you get your buddies together and do Thanksgiving. It's a family thing. Versus Christmas, like for many years, your brother had a Christmas party.
Yeah.
I've had people over for Christmas before in the past. It's more of a social thing. And it's also, you give gifts to your buddies and stuff like that. So I always think about Christmas being the more get together with friends holiday. Thanksgiving's more of a family thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I suppose so.
Yeah, there's no Duncan. There's no gift giving in Thanksgiving. There's just a lot of eating. It's eating and it's football and it's family.
And football this year, man.
Well,
the Cowboys got smoked so bad.
Yeah, if you're a Cowboys
smoked
fan,
turkey.
What
a game!
I can't remember. Maybe I didn't finish I don't know who won the Redskins game.
Redskins won.
Did they win?
They won. Of course, they were playing the Giants.
The Giants are terrible.
The football, I think I burnt myself out on football.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that coincides with the fact that the Cowboys are tanking.
And your fantasy team is awful.
Yeah. Don't even get me started. Here's the problem. As go the Cowboys, so goes my fantasy team. And I never, ever plan it that way. But sometimes you have guys, like I thought, I didn't even play Dak this weekend because he's stinking.
Yeah.
He's getting killed out there. Mm-hmm. And so, but as go the Cowboys, so go my team. And, I've got guys phoning it in, a couple guys
I picked up, my best players are guys I picked up off the waiver wire.
That's almost always the way it goes. You're having hey, good for you, Bode. I'm not the jealous type. Sometimes you can't win them all, and your team for a rookie, you're doing great this year.
It's always good for your first time out to go well, and then the next 18 seasons that follow, I'm sure I'll be right there at the bottom of the barrel.
But there are a few teams that haven't won games for a long time, so you're doing fine.
Edvin is here in the chat. This is Edvin Helland. He says, you went live as I'm brewing IPA in my man cave.
I don't know what's IPA.
IPA, that stands for India Pale Ale. It's a kind of beer.
He's brewing his own.
He's brewing his own.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kudos. Now, it's super early here, Bode.
Yeah. It is now.
We should mention that for the people that aren't here live. Yeah, it's super. We got here at 8 a.m. Mm-hmm. And because Boat's got a prior, we've moved the show, 3 times?
Yeah, it's been crazy. So Friday, I was originally supposed to go with my wife. We were going to go to Columbus, but then her boss at work had a baby, and so she had to go into work and work instead. And then, and so we had to move the show to today, and but we had to do it early because Aaron's got to go to Parkersburg. I'm going to go to church right after this, so it's
it worked out in every aspect except for the getting up and
early,
being here at 8 a.m. Now, that was brutal.
Now,
I didn't sleep for crap.
You were normally up much earlier than you got up this morning, right?
But my sleep schedule has been screwed up because of my the illness keeps me awake.
Yeah.
And so last night I got probably 4 hours of sleep. But that's a bumper crop compared to what I've been getting. I'm used to operating on not that much sleep, but even I have my breaking points.
Yeah.
You know, but
well, I've been, this morning was hard for me because I've been off work this past week.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of the kick in the pants I need to. So when my normal get up time is not as early as you. I get up at 6:40.
Well, it's so la vie.
Yeah.
But I would never want to do the show like this every week. I would jump out a window. It's too early.
Creepy Dead Boy is in the
Hey.
chat. What's up, Creepy Dead Boy? He says that the Firenze Vintage Built Onless Club is celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Amiga 500 right now. He says he just left the event. He said that they had tons of systems out, Commodores, Spectrums, Apples, and more. He says he enjoyed playing with the Vectrex most. Aaron, proud owner of a Vectrex.
Oh man, I love the Vectrex. It almost got put out in the building this week. I'm paranoid to put it out there, just in case something would happen with the heat.
Right.
It would just something happen on my screen up. So that's my number one system.
That's the most expensive console that you own, right? I mean,
console,
I know the
yes.
pinballs. You can't compare pinballs.
The console,
yeah.
yes, and I've got quite a few games for it as well. But yes, the Vectrex. And the thing is, it's not. And I've got 2 sticks for it. Mm-hmm. I got to give Brick credit. He's the one that bought it for me for my birthday one year, and he got it when it wasn't as pricey. But I mean, it was like the cusp of being super pricey. But the Vectrex is just great. I just love it. I love playing with it. I powered it up about 2 weeks ago and played a few games on it, and it's great. I probably will eventually move it to the arcade so I can have people play it more
You need
regularly.
to build a special shelf like somebody. There's no chance that it will be accidentally knocked down.
It's right now. If you see where I've got it stored, it could easily be knocked down and destroyed. So it needs. I put a new shelf in the arcade this week, and so I've got a little more room out there, and I've got the Amiga sitting right beside the Atari XEGS with the keyboard. So I've got the 2 big dogs right there, and it's nice. I've managed to put a lot more games out there, game machines.
So Creepy Dead Boy is in Florence, Italy. That's
is that where that was?
Yeah, the Firenze Vintage Built Onless Club. What does onless mean? And I actually don't know what Firenze means either, but that might be the name of a place. Are you much of an Italian speaker?
No, but wow, I like the idea of. I think it's awesome that all the different countries have their little festivals and stuff. We're gonna have to do it, man. We're gonna have to come up with something. We got to get it going.
I'm waiting on the Valley Park. The construction is upon us right now. As soon as that's finished, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. We're gonna do Amiga Con.
I would book the Dead Zone. We'll just go in there.
I would be afraid to go to the Dead Zone. I think I've been in that building that you're talking about. By the way.
Oh yeah.
It's right there on that road that runs. It's the same road that runs parallel to the interstate, right?
No.
I think I'm thinking too far west, actually.
Yeah, this is on the east side.
Yeah, I'm almost.
And keep in mind, I lived on the west side of Charleston for quite a while. Granted, I had the beauty and grace and the protection of Mud Mountain on my side. But when this place was as scary as any place I've been in terms of it was a dark, empty, dead end street basically. You just park on street side parking and just good luck. But I would love to get we now know. 2, 3, 4, 5 local Amiga owners, right? Give or take. That right there is a start.
Yeah.
If we could get anyone to come from Columbus or something, we'd be laughing.
People will travel. People will travel if you host it.
Yeah, we'll see.
And Creepy Dead Boy says something that's probably obvious to everybody that's not 2 hicks from West Virginia. Firenze is Florence in Italian.
Oh, wow.
So,
did you know that? No.
So, all right, Aaron. Let's shut this pre-show down and get moving.
Let's do it
with Theme Park.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So.